Here back at the arcade, we have my latest project. Figured I'd do a little series of videos on my adventures with this game, because it's got quite a few things I'm going to have to fix, things that may be difficult to obtain parts for. So this is a 1978 Stern Stars. This is only, I think, their third solid state game. And one of my favorite old Sterns. Got it for like $500 in needs help state, I believe is what it said on the eBay auction. So I have the back glass in the other room, but just taking a quick look at it, you have one of my favorites. Since these games didn't have free play, they drilled a hole and then put a button in there to add credits. But the cool thing is, it's not even hooked up. There it is right there. Not even hooked up. I'm sure it was hooked up at one time, but... And always, you know, the fun electrical tape, more electrical tape. So hopefully the test button here actually works. Actually, it's sticking quite badly. One good thing for sticky buttons, believe it or not, is Windex. You spray Windex in there, just let it dry completely. It has brought many a test button back to life for me. But the most interesting, well, before I get to that, you got, you know, the power cord with the different end on it, but even better, you got some wonderful so I need a new power cord because I'm not plugging it in with that crap on it. The funny thing about the Sterns is, if you look here, you see the electrical tape, you see the wires coming off, and then they split into two wires, both these, and you figure that's some kind of hack job. That's actually a factory hack job. That's all the old Sterns have that from the factory, so that's kind of funny. But here is the interesting thing. This is the chime unit for Stars. You notice it doesn't have a speaker. It just has a chime unit. Their first 4 solid-state games had chime units. However, when I started to look at this, there's some things that just didn't look right. First, you have this. You have the fuse for the chime unit. Power wire comes off, and then this fun. I mean, they didn't bother to put electrical tape on that. That's just great. But when I'm looking at this, and I'll try to get this, lighting isn't the best, but you can see you have all these wires, they're cut. Then you have these wires soldered in, and then you have this little orphan here kind of hanging out, which coincidentally, this is like a white wire with a green tracer, and if you look here, white wire with a green tracer. It's like they cut it off and used it for the power wire. So I'm kind of confused. Now, I have nothing to go by for reference. I've never seen a Stern chime unit. However, I have on the manual, you have the solenoid list, and you have the chimes. You have a 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000. And then I said, wait a minute, that's 4 chimes. This has 3 chimes, and it's not like one is missing. So what's going on? So I consulted what everyone should get, a parts catalog with a really cool cover. This is Stern parts catalog has all their solid state games up to, I think, Lightning. So pretty much most of them. And if I go under the mechanical parts section, right at the end, I see the 4-tone chime unit. I'm looking at it, and obviously that doesn't look anything like that. That's because this is not a Stern chime unit. This is a Gottlieb chime unit, which after some research I found a picture of a Gottlieb chime unit, and there it was. So now the Stern chime unit is very tinny sounding. It definitely has a fairly cheap sound to it, if you've ever heard old Stern chimes. And I'm sure someone probably did not like that sound, so they replaced it with the Gottlieb unit. However, I kind of like the tinny sound. It kind of makes it a Stern, really, in my view. And that's why, that's the extra wire that was cut that's down here. That is the 10,000s chime. And someone had actually written, I don't know if you can see that, but someone had written the wire colors, and you can see the 10,000s. It actually says green, but you barely see it. So the issue with this is, where do you get a Stern chime unit? You can't buy one at any of the parts places. So I am on the lookout. I have a few leads. I think I may be able to get one to replace the Gottlieb chime unit. So that's, other than that, I mean, everything is here. The cabinet is pretty solid, especially as far as Stern cabinets go. Stern, if you've worked on other older solid state games from other manufacturers, I would say Stern had some of the cheaper, I mean, some of the wood, it just feels cheap. But that was kind of their thing. The other issue was this latch was missing entirely. I was able to get this is a Bally one. This is from a Paragon, which is actually a little bit bigger than the Stern one, but it works. Then in the head, now supposedly this game has issues. It boots, but it has all kinds of bizarre switch closure issues, and the previous owner thought it was probably an MPU board issue, which he's probably right. But another thing I noticed was, this is the ground braid. It was like wrapped around, like in here. Not in a way that I would, I'm not sure this was ever actually put into the head when the previous owner was using it, because from documentation I've seen, it's supposed to actually mount somewhere around here, at least the pictures I've seen, but there's no hole or anywhere to mount it here. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was just never run at all. Which, if the entire head was not grounded, I could totally see that causing weird behavior. So what I did is just added a washer here, and I'm going to run it up and screw it right in there so the head will be grounded. The ground braid looks in good shape. I didn't see any breaks anywhere, so hopefully we'll get good ground so we can get some good testing. A lot of the wire clips were busted off or just missing entirely. There's several of them missing, so I put them back just because. I mean, they should be there. Surprisingly, all the boards were mounted properly. I mean, they have different screws. I don't know how these screws just disappear over time and then get replaced. Like, you got like the hex screw here, and then you got the Phillips screw here. But the way they mounted these, they did them just at the corners, and then the rest are like on standoffs. So, but the battery was replaced, which is nice. I mean, I don't see, I'm no circuit board expert, but I'll say I didn't notice anything that looked like acid damage. And the rectifier board looked surprisingly good. It looked like someone actually had replaced the bridge rectifiers that are on the back. And it didn't look like any of the connectors were burnt. And the fuses were, well, there was two that were the wrong value, but not that far off. And none of the fuses were blown. So that looked good. And now as I'm going through this, I see there's two wires here just hanging out. Now obviously they're not wires that were cut like in the middle because they're different color. However, you got one that's a solid color, and then you got one that's got a tracer. That seems to me like there's supposed to be a coil there. And if you look, and I confirm this by some pictures of another Stars, supposed to be a knocker coil. Basically a knocker assembly in here that screws here, the bracket, and then hits the plate, which, I don't know if you can see, the plate is still here. So at least that's still there, but the knocker's missing. So I'm working on that too. Supposedly some of the displays are a little flaky. We'll see about that. I do have some spare displays. So that's that game. Look at, I mean, that's the assessment of the cabin. It's in good shape. The legs were rusted to shit. So I just got, you can't get original stern legs, the right ones, but I got the Bally gray legs, and I think they look very nice. I have no issues with that.